That may be the greatest catch I've ever seen in my life.
Okay, we're going to go through. We're going to be looking at every single matchup for week 7. Now, I will say there aren't that many because all the bye weeks, but we're going to be talking about every single running back, whether you should start them, whether you should sit them. And of course, before we get into it, you know what we have to do? We have to give away some Fantasy Flock Network hats. Let me pull up some random winners. Every single time you leave a like on a video, you leave a comment, you get entered in to win a Fantasy Flock Network hat. Our first comment coming out from Rolando, who says, I'm 4-2 with CMC. I soak in as much advice as you give. It seems to be paying off, my friend. Happy to hear that. Happy to hear that you're winning a Fantasy Flock Network hat at the same time. Our other winner coming out from Matthew, who I swear to God, I'm pretty sure you've gotten a hat before, says, should I pick up Michael Gallup? Yes. Thanks, Mason. Need that hat, my friend. If you have not gotten a hat already, go through and send me that email ASAP with your physical address so I can get that out to you. And yeah, I think that should be it. Actually, one other thing, our rest of season rankings have been updated over there on Patreon. Of course, if you decide to join the flock on Patreon, you get a ton of cool things. Check the link in the description of the video. Rest of season rankings updated every single week. Our dynasty rankings are up there. I mean, you get extra videos, extra podcasts. I mean, you get to join our Fantasy Flock Network group chat, get to join leagues with me. I mean, there's so much going on over there, but I think that should be it. Let's just go through. Let's dive into what we're going to have here with these running back matchups. And of course, for anybody who's used promo code FLOCK on Underdog Fantasy, we're going to continue to talk about those over-unders. So Thomas, if you can, please include those over-unders for Underdog Fantasy on the screen. Go use promo code FLOCK on Underdog Fantasy. Get additional daily entries to win a Fantasy Flock Network hat. Check out some cool player props. Get a max deposit bonus. Support this channel more than you would ever believe. You know what to do. And yeah, that should be it. Let's go through and let's dive into what we have here. And let's start it off with the Thursday night matchup. So it's Wednesday right now, and we just had, I believe, Baker Mayfield ruled out in this contest. And we have had so many questions about Dearness Johnson. And with Johnson, this is a running back that I know he projects to be the starting running back for the Cleveland Browns Thursday night. And the Cleveland Browns have one of the best offensive lines, if not the best offensive line in the entire NFL. So a lot of people want to look at Chuba Hubbard. A lot of people want to look at Herbert. A lot of people want to look at Alex Collins, these running backs that we have had come out and just take over as 3-down bell cow running backs in their backfields. And I will say, in the case of the Cleveland Browns, it's very hard to know if we're 100% going to be getting that from Dearness Johnson, and that you're looking at this depth chart. And while, yes, Dearness Johnson 100% profiles to be the running back that is going to be the 3-down guy here. He profiles to be that starter. I mean, you're not necessarily that excited about anybody else that you have. I will say, with no Baker Mayfield, I am very worried about what we are going to have from this Cleveland Browns offense with Case Keenum. And to go along with this, we are not guaranteed to see Dearness Johnson in that 3-down role. It would be a completely different scenario if Kareem Hunt left this past game in the second quarter, where then we had Dearness Johnson come out and we got him used in the receiving game. We got him used in the red zone. We got him used everywhere in the second half of the game. But a big factor is, I mean, with Kareem Hunt, he did not leave this game until the very, very end. So it kind of puts a cloud of uncertainty of what the exact workload is going to look like for Dearness Johnson. He only had one carry, only had one reception at the same time. Now, we do currently have him ranked as a top 24 running back. We have him ranked as a low-end running back too. But with that being said, the range of outcomes is pretty wide. Not a talented running back to begin with. Also with the backup quarterback in this offense, maybe want to be avoiding, but given the bye weeks, a lot of people are going to have to be playing him. And now our next backfield, we got the Denver Broncos with Javonte Williams and Melvin Gordon. And yeah, I think that we would also look to avoid playing both running backs here. I love Javonte Williams in the long term. Javonte Williams has the talent profile. When he does just make Melvin Gordon a running back that's getting 30% of the snaps in Denver rather than 50%, then all of a sudden Javonte Williams will be someone that you can consistently start as a high-end running back too. This is someone that we've compared to back in 2019. Remember when you had Miles Sanders and Jordan Howard splitting that backfield? Miles Sanders was that league-winning running back in the second half of the season. I think you could see something very similar with Javonte Williams, but against the Browns, going to be a tough matchup, and at the same time, they're splitting the backfield 50-50. Probably would look to avoid. Now, our next game with the Tennessee Titans and the Kansas City Chiefs. Yeah, I mean, we have Derrick Henry ranked as our number one running back overall. We did not rank him as our number one running back last week, and we actually had our lawyers reaching out to me, and they said, Mason, you know what? If you ever say something bad about Derrick Henry again, YouTube has informed us that we're going to have to delete this YouTube channel. You're going to have to be removed from the airways. So I'm no longer legally allowed to say anything negative about Derrick Henry, even though he's had 10 rushing touchdowns through 6 weeks, even though that's not necessarily sustainable. It doesn't matter. Derrick Henry's the running back one. You play Derrick Henry. And in the case of the Kansas City Chiefs, honestly, I really love the idea of going through and playing Darrell Williams. I have Darrell Williams ranked as a high-end running back 2, low-end running back 1 this week. I mean, this is an option that I know the fantasy production was mainly fueled off of what he had in terms of his touchdown volume, where he was the running back 7 a week ago against the Washington football team. But at the same time, you love the fact that he has that red zone role. He had more carries in week 6 than you actually had with Clyde Edwards-Helaire at any point this season, because they have clearly shown us that Darrell Williams will be getting everything here. They're not really going to be using Jerick McKinnon, which is really exciting. We moved Darrell Williams up our rest of season rankings over there on Patreon, coming off a week where he had 21 carries, 62 rushing yards, multiple rushing touchdowns, also 4 targets out of this backfield at the same time. You love to see that level of involvement in the receiving game as well. So yeah, I think Darrell Williams is a must-start running back for us here, especially when we don't have Austin Eckler, Najee Harris, Dalvin Cook. I mean, a lot of running backs out this week. Throw Ezekiel Elliott on that list. Darrell Williams, I would much prefer playing Darrell Williams over Dearness Johnson. Now, our next team is going to be the Washington football team and the Green Bay Packers. Yeah, you're playing Aaron Jones, and you're not going to consider A.J. Dillon. I know that we're getting a little desperate here, but still, A.J. Dillon pretty much has that Jamal Williams role from a year ago. This is a running back that we love the ceiling if anything occurs to Aaron Jones, but right now, it's just not getting enough usage for you to be able to go through and start him with any kind of touchdown upside at all. Now, with Washington, however, I think this is a backfield that is very appealing in that you should see Washington trail the majority of this game. And what we said a week ago with Washington most likely trailing is that J.D. McKissic was potentially an intriguing play against the Kansas City Chiefs. Here, I think you have something similar against the Green Bay Packers. I'm not telling you to play J.D. McKissic because the injury to Antonio Gibson. I mean, if Gibson misses this game, of course, you're expecting a small bump up from J.D. McKissic, but he's mainly going to be playing the same role regardless. I think he's actually a little more appealing here, just given the fact that, I mean, this team probably going to have to be forced to abandon the run and just throw the ball with aggression. Now, let's go over to the Cincinnati Bengals and the Baltimore Ravens, and let me just get out of this and say, it doesn't matter how desperate you are. I do not think you can play anybody for the Baltimore Ravens at the running back position. This is a backfield that is literally like a 4-man committee. You got Lamar Jackson, you got Le'Veon Bell, you got Tyson Williams, you got Devontae Freeman. I mean, you have Latavius Murray. Maybe it's a 5-man. Obviously, they had Tyson Williams as the healthy scratch this past week. But if you're looking at the snaps played for the running backs in this backfield, it's like 22 snaps, 21 snaps, 24 snaps. Really, I know it's a great matchup, but just trying to pinpoint exactly who's going to be the lead running back in Baltimore is an impossible task because there's no such thing as a lead running back in Baltimore outside of Lamar Jackson. Just knowing that they're going to be splitting this pretty much in thirds in this backfield. Now, with the Cincinnati Bengals, on the other hand, yeah, you're going to go through, you're going to start Joe Mixon. Joe Mixon had a very impressive week where he was a top 5 running back this past week. He had 6 targets out of the backfield for almost 60 receiving yards, 18 carries for 94 rushing yards, 100% a must-start player for you every single week. Now, with Baltimore, has been an up-and-down team in terms of viewing their defense and what opposing offenses have been able to accomplish. They're coming off a very hot week where they're able to just completely shut down the Los Angeles Chargers. But yeah, Joe Mixon, especially in the down week, has to be a running back you're starting. Now, let's go over to the Carolina Panthers and the New York Giants, where right now you'd imagine that the Panthers probably handily win this game. And yeah, we're going to be playing Chuba Hubbard here. With Hubbard, I mean, he did lose a decent amount of touches actually to Royce Freeman of all running backs. Still was a low-end running back too, where he had 16 carries, 61 rushing yards, a rushing touchdown. Also had a reception out of the backfield, but definitely you did not see the same level of involvement in the receiving game. You actually had Royce Freeman getting a decent amount of snaps. Even though Royce Freeman saw a decent amount of snaps, I mean, he really had no touches out of this backfield at all. Maybe they're just bringing him in to give Chuba Hubbard a break. Maybe they're just bringing him in to pass block. I mean, he was the running back 70 on the week. He scored less points than like Joshua Kelly, Kenneth Gainwell, Marlon Mack, Brandon Bolden, Travion Williams. So yeah, I mean, it's not that much of an impact with Royce Freeman seeing snaps if he's not going to be getting touches, and Chuba Hubbard will be getting all of them going forward. And with the New York Giants, I mean, we did not say to start Devontae Booker a week ago, just because with Devontae Booker, it was a very tough matchup. With that being said, he finished as the running back 24, directly behind Devontae Freeman. But, I mean, this was really encouraging in terms of the workload that he had here. He actually had 4 receptions out of the backfield, 12 carries, so he is getting used every single way possible. I would say we're going to yet again expect a low-end running back 2 production, but if Saquon Barkley is playing, you're playing Saquon Barkley. If not, Devontae Booker, you can play him if you have, say, a Saquon Barkley injury, then Ezekiel Elliott with the bye week, or maybe Dalvin Cook with the bye week, or whoever with the bye week, Najee Harris. I mean, there, yes, you can play Devontae Booker as a running back too, but you can't be that excited about it. Now, our next game will be the Atlanta Falcons playing the Miami Dolphins, where with Miami, like we said a week ago, remember, everybody wanted to get excited. People wanted to play Myles Gaskin against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Myles Gaskin is a running back you cannot start. He is very similar to what you have with just like Nyheim Hines, Jaden McKissick. We've had that stance for a very long time now. He's a player that we were avoiding in drafts every time we could. Yeah, so with Myles Gaskin, please do not be playing him against the Atlanta Falcons, even though this is a strong matchup. Now, in the case of Atlanta, I think that you're actually looking at Cordell Patterson as a must-start running back for you here. We currently have him ranked as a low-end running back 1 for this week. Let me actually pull up where we exactly have him ranked. I have Cordell Patterson as our running back 10. Now, keep in mind, it's mainly based on the fact that you have so many running backs on bye. I mean, we have him behind guys like Darrell Williams and Leonard Fournette. So it's just a nasty week at the running back position. You're starting Cordell Patterson, pretty much hoping that he's DeAndre Swift. He's a running back getting every target out of the backfield and also usage in the red zone. Mike Davis. I have Mike Davis as a top 24 running back this week. I would actually probably rather start Mike Davis than what you're going to have with Myles Gaskin, just because he's also seeing snaps. He's also seeing touches. It's a plus matchup, even though he's another running back that we hated in drafts. Now let's go over to the New York Jets and the New England Patriots. And with the Jets, this is just a team that you want nothing to do with in terms of the overall offense. Let me look up the implied team totals that we actually have for week 7. And you are going to see that, I mean, they have the New York Jets at the very bottom of the list. Right now, you have the Jets only in front of Chicago and Houston. So I think that just with the New York Jets, this is a team that is also splitting this backfield. Well, Michael Carter isn't getting 80+% of the touches, which is kind of what he needs if he's going to be an effective running back in this backfield from fantasy purposes. So I think we're most likely going to be benching Michael Carter where we can. I did not have him ranked as a top 24 running back. Now, in the case of Damian Harris, y'all know, I mean, I didn't really like Damian Harris coming into drafts this year, yet he's a mid running back 2 for us this week. We have him at running back 17, just based on the fact that this is a fantastic matchup. You're essentially betting that he gets there with a rushing touchdown. If he gets there with a rushing touchdown, it'll be a great day. If not, it's kind of going to be whatever, given the fact that he won't have the usage in the receiving game. But we don't have that many running backs. Great matchup against the Jets, where you'd imagine that Damian Harris can see the ball maybe 15+ times guaranteed. Now, our next matchup between the Miles Sanders-led Philadelphia Eagles and Josh Jacobs and the Los Angeles Rams. I think we're starting both running backs here. Now, with Josh Jacobs, I know the fantasy production wasn't fantastic a week ago, mainly because, I mean, Kenyon Drake stole 2 touchdowns away from him. But still, that being said, Josh Jacobs was, I mean, impressively a mid running back 2 with that happening. He actually scored 15.2 fantasy points. And I think with Josh Jacobs, this is someone that you're probably wanting to start against the Philadelphia Eagles. If you're looking at implied team totals according to Las Vegas, keep in mind, like we've always said, Las Vegas knows more than we do. I mean, I am never going to try to come out here and tell you, or if anybody tries to tell you that they can consistently beat Las Vegas lines, they're lying to you. And right now, they currently have the Raiders as the 7th team with their implied team total so far this week. And I mean, they are supposed to be in a game where they're going to be winning against the Philadelphia Eagles. I think you're going to see some of those touchdowns go back in the direction of Josh Jacobs, who last year had a great rate with his usage in the red zone. I know it's a new coaching staff, but still, I mean, I think that while it's not even a new coaching staff, it's a new head coach, and that is it. I still think Josh Jacobs is going to be the running back with that workload in the red zone. And with Miles Sanders, this was someone we were telling y'all to sell at a high point 3-4 weeks ago, just because, I mean, we knew the schedule was going to be disgusting. At this point, I think with Miles Sanders, he's actually someone that maybe is a little bit underrated. I think the matchup against the Las Vegas Raiders isn't that bad, and it looks like he is going to be still the lead running back in Philadelphia. I'd be fine starting Miles Sanders as a mid running back 2 this week, given the other options that we have. Now, our next matchup with the Detroit Lions and the Los Angeles Rams, you start Darrell Henderson. Darrell Henderson is a top 5 running back for us. I mean, y'all have seen it every single live stream for weeks now. Me just coming out saying, trade for Henderson, trade for Henderson, trade for Henderson, a bell cow lead running back on one of the most productive offenses in football. The spread on this game is like a laughable 15.5, 16 points, where you naturally assume that the Los Angeles Rams are going to be able to run the ball effectively in the second half once they get to a massive lead. Also, Darrell Henderson getting some usage in the receiving game as well against a very bad Detroit Lions defense. This should be a smash. Now, with the Lions and DeAndre Swift in particular, I know this is a tough matchup on paper with DeAndre Swift against the Los Angeles Rams, but as we've said before with DeAndre Swift, the matchup doesn't matter as much with Swift as it would with other running backs, in that you're looking at DeAndre Swift knowing the majority of his value is not driven with what he's going to be giving you with his rushing efficiency or just the carries or the red zone opportunities he'll have in this offense. While a lot of it is dictated by the red zone opportunities, the majority of it is driven off the usage in the receiving game, where he's actually almost had 300 receiving yards this season through 6 weeks. He's had 34 receptions. I mean, this is someone that is closing in on averaging 6 receptions a game. That is unbelievable with what you're getting from him. And just saying that you actually have DeAndre Swift getting 50 receiving yards a game and 6 receptions a game at the same time, that's an additional 11 points just based on what he has in the receiving game alone. If you're adding that over to his rushing yards, that's like adding another 110 rushing yards a game. That is unbelievable. I think with DeAndre Swift, he's literally a cheat code where it doesn't matter. We've seen him in tough matchups before. I mean, going back to what we had with the 49ers, he comes out, drops 24.5 points. The Ravens, not the easiest of matchups. He had 23 points in week 3 against the Ravens at the same time. The Vikings, he had 22 points. I think you're plugging and playing DeAndre Swift no matter what. We actually have DeAndre Swift ranked easily as a running back 1 this week. I have DeAndre Swift ranked as the running back 7. Now let's go over to the Chicago Bears and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And with Chicago, I don't care if it's Williams, I don't care if it's Herbert, you are not starting any running back. You cannot start any running back for the Chicago Bears going up against the toughest run defense in the entire NFL. I mean, with Herbert, this is a running back that I think we're easily looking to sell for anything that we can get, given the fact that you're looking at him saying, well, he's not going to be startable anytime soon, with Damian Williams splitting this backfield 50-50 with them. I mean, the matchup's a lot grosser than what you had a week ago. Please do not buy into this. I know he had over 100 rushing yards. I know he had over 20 carries. It was very impressive in that 1 week, but also he didn't have that many receptions. He didn't really have that many targets out of the backfield. I mean, if you're pulling up the exact stat line, he had 2 receptions this past week. That's not how you get there being a running back going up against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Herbert is not a top 24 running back for me. I mean, I would rather have so many other options. I mean, some other options that we have down there, I would rather have Mike Davis over Herbert this week, if we're going to be completely honest. Now, in the case of Tampa Bay, obviously you're starting Leonard Fournette. I mean, with Fournette, I'm a little worried about the fragile projection you may have later on in the year. I mean, if you see Bruce Arians decide to change the way how he's deploying these running backs, maybe start to give Ronald Jones a little more usage. But as of now, Leonard Fournette is getting used as the pretty much every down player for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He is seeing 75-80% of the backfield snaps here at running back. That is exactly what you need for Leonard Fournette to be a running back 1. Actually, I have him ranked as the running back 8 this week, even though it's a tough matchup against the Chicago Bears, because we know that Tampa's putting up points regardless. Now, our next game will be the Houston Texans playing the Arizona Cardinals. And with Houston, it doesn't matter what you have with any running back getting any type of volume. I mean, it didn't matter if Mark Ingram saw every single touch out of the backfield this week, or Philip Lindsay did, or David Johnson did. It doesn't matter. David Johnson is getting some usage in the receiving game, but the spread on this game is laughable. You have the Houston Texans, according to Las Vegas, as the last team in projected points scored this week at 15. At 15, that is less than half of what they have the Los Angeles Rams for. That's less than half of what they have the Arizona Cardinals. They're literally projecting this to be a game that's 32.5 points scored to 15. I mean, it is going to be so out of hand here that I think with Arizona, you can actually probably start both James Conner and Chase Edmonds. I mean, here, I think that we definitely prefer having Chase Edmonds rest of season with his receiving game usage. But I mean, this is going to be very similar to what you had a week ago against the Cleveland Browns when you had the Arizona Cardinals leading the majority of that game, where you actually had a decent amount of carries for James Conner, knowing that James Conner is the running back that's going to be a better option between the tackles to kind of drain this clock. That's what you're going to be looking for with the Houston Texans. I have both Chase Edmonds and Conner ranked as mid running back 2s this week in this matchup. I think you can start both. Now, our next game is going to be the Indianapolis Colts and the San Francisco 49ers. And with the Colts, you play Jonathan Taylor. You don't need me to tell you that. I mean, I'm not expecting him to be a top 3 running back that he's been over the past few weeks, given the matchups significantly tougher. And with the 49ers, I actually think I'm playing Elijah Mitchell. I mean, with Elijah Mitchell, if we go back to what we had going into the bye week, Trey Sermon had 2 snaps in that game. Sermon had 2 snaps. Elijah Mitchell got everything. Now, I know Trey Lance was the running back that soaked up the majority of the rushing volume, so Lance was more so the storyline, but Elijah Mitchell had a very impressive day in projecting his usage going forward. I will be playing Elijah Mitchell pretty much over a lot of other running backs. Right now, I currently have Elijah Mitchell ranked as the running back 14. I have him ranked as a high-end running back 2. And now our next game will be the New Orleans Saints and the Seattle Seahawks. And with the Saints, this is a backfield that it's easy. You're going to go through. You are going to play Alvin Kamara. With Seattle, you're going to be benching Alex Collins. With Alex Collins, I currently do have him ranked as a top 24 running back. I have him ranked alongside Devontae Booker, Dearness Johnson. We have him in that similar tier. I still think with Collins, however, that this is going to be a running back that is just playing in one of the worst offenses in football. We've discussed this at length. We do not want to be playing anybody in a Geno Smith-led offense here. Also a tough matchup against the New Orleans Saints. Personally, I'm going to be avoiding Alex Collins. Also, you're going to get DJ Dallas with the usage in the receiving game, and you're going to have me deep down in the little smallest part of my heart praying that we get Rashad Penny coming out with a good workload. You would know how excited I would be about Rashad Penny here. And yeah, I think that's all I got for y'all. Please make sure you go down there, drop a like, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel. We're going to be live streaming every single day for the rest of the season. We've live streamed over 100 days in a row at this point. Also, go over there to Patreon, decide to join the flock, decide to get in our group chat, decide to get daily access to our rest of season rankings, as well as our dynasty rankings, is get in a league with me, get a podcast broken down about your team. There's a ton of stuff over there. And yeah, that's all I got for you. Hope you have a great day, and I hope I see you in the live stream tonight.